Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Morning Musings. Happy Tuesday morning to you, and welcome to Morning Musings. My name is Don K. Preston. I'm the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. Look, here we are. It's July the 28th. Just a very, very few days left in this month for you to take advantage of my brand spanking new book entitled Watching for the Parousia, Were Jesus' Apostles Confused? Let me say again, ever so briefly, if you do not understand how important it is that the futurists make the claim that in Matthew 24 and verse 2 and 3, when Jesus predicted the impending fall of Jerusalem and the destruction of the temple, the disciples ignorantly, confusedly, wrongly, in their mind, they connected that event with the so-called end of time, the end of the Christian age. They were just wrong. Without that assumption, all right, without that false presupposition, there is literally not a hint of a clue of a suggestion in the Olivet Discourse that Jesus was talking about but one thing. He predicted the fall of Jerusalem. They said, tell us, when shall these things be? What shall be the sign of your coming, the end of the age? Well, guess what? In Mark and Luke, when he predicts that destruction, their question and their response is, tell us, when shall these things be? What shall be the sign when all of these things come to pass? Just a different way of asking the identical question, having nothing to do with the so-called end of time. Anyway, not another book like it. Regular price, $18.95. The rest of July 2020, U.S. orders only, all right? $15.95, post-paid. Save you $6, okay? So go to my website, donkpreston.com, BibleProphecy.com, order the book, Watching for the Parousia, Were Jesus' Apostles Confused? Order the book. You'd just be stunned at how powerful and how abundant the evidence is to prove they were not confused. They knew exactly what they were asking about. All right. In the Olivet Discourse, in Matthew 24, and in Luke chapter 17, we have side-by-side perfect correlations predicting the coming of the Son of Man on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. That's the revelation of the Son of Man. And the statement in Luke chapter 17 that the coming of the Son of Man would be like it was in the days of Noah. It would be like it would be in the days of Lot. But the key here is that we've looked at a time or two now, is it would be in the days when the Son of Man is revealed. Well, folks, let me ask you, what is the ultimate text to discuss the revelation of the Son of Man? Isn't that called the book of Revelation? It begins by telling us the revelation of Jesus Christ, which God the Father gave to him to show to his servants the things which must shortly come to pass. This is the unveiling of Christ. This is the revelation of Christ of Luke chapter 17. As it was in the days of Noah, as it was in the days of Lot. And it would be a time when those who are on the housetops, let them not come down to gather their goods. If there are two men in the field, or if someone is in the field, let him not come back to get his goods. Remember Lot's wife. Flee. Now, the book of Revelation is about the revelation of Jesus Christ. Obviously, we could spend an awful lot of time on the book of Revelation. But I'm going to make this very, very brief here. In what context, in what framework, at what time would the Son of Man, as described in the book of Revelation, when would it take place? Well, John's very emphatic. No, not John, the Father was very emphatic. Now remember this. Jesus told his apostles of that day and hour. What day and hour? The day of his revelation, the day of his parousia. Of that day and hour knows no man but the Father only. Okay, in Revelation chapter 1, the Father, who knew the day and the hour of the coming of the Son of Man, of the revelation of the Son of Man, told his Son, who told the churches, that these things, what things? The revelation of his Son, the day of his parousia, must shortly come to pass. Verse 3, these things are at hand. And throughout the entirety of the book, over and over and over, we are told that those events, what events? The revelation of the Son of Man was at hand. 6 times, folks, 6 times in Revelation chapter 22. The Lord said, these things must shortly come to pass. The time is at hand. Do not seal the vision of the book because the time is at hand. And yet, former preterists tell us, oh, time statements don't mean anything. It's just silly. It's just silly to apply to the time statements or to appeal to time statements. Since when is it wrong to appeal to the inspired Word of God? You see, that's what that comes down to. So, there's the timing of it. Very shortly, very soon from the time John wrote. The framework is that the Son of Man would be revealed in the destruction of Babylon. Well, who is Babylon? It is the city, quote, where the Lord was crucified, unquote. The city that was spiritually called Sodom. Well, what city was spiritually called Sodom? Well, in Deuteronomy chapter 32, the song of Israel's last days, many generations removed from Moses, Deuteronomy 32, 4 and following. But in Israel's last days, they shall become like Sodom. Israel would become like Sodom in her last days. Well, Jesus appeared in the last days. John was living in the last days, and he said that Babylon, the city where the Lord was crucified, was spiritually called Sodom. By the way, in my book, Who is This Babylon? I have an extensive discussion of all of this. You know, folks, listen to me very, very quickly. I'm almost out of time here. When people start denying that the book of Revelation is about the destruction of Jerusalem, and look, I fully understand, because for a good part of my very early ministry, I had no concept that Babylon was anything other than Rome or the Roman Catholic Church or whatever. But I found out when I started paying attention to what the book actually says, I found out that there's virtually no evidence whatsoever to support the idea that Babylon was Rome or the Roman Catholic Church or America or New Jersey or maybe now Portland or Seattle, who knows? No, there is absolutely no good evidence for that. So, we have the Olivet Discourse, Matthew 24 and 25, talking about the revelation of the Son of Man. We have Luke chapter 17, talking about the coming of the Son of Man as the time of his revelation. We have seen from 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 that Christ would be revealed at the time when he would bring vengeance on the Jewish persecutors of the Thessalonian church. We have seen from 1 Peter that Christ was ready to be revealed when Peter wrote, and he said, the end of all things has come. Pardon me. And he said, the divinely appointed time for the judgment, which is nothing less than the resurrection, the divinely appointed time for the resurrection has come. Christ was ready to be revealed. And then we have the book of Revelation, which was written before 1 Peter, talking about the impending revelation of Jesus Christ coming quickly, soon, shortly, in the destruction of Babylon, the city where the Lord was slain. By the way, remember, Jesus told his apostles that when they saw the abomination of desolation to flee. Revelation 18, verse 4, come out of her, my people, that you do not partake of her destruction. Perfect parallels. And so, since the revelation of Jesus Christ as it was in the days of Noah, Matthew 24:37 and following, is the revelation of Jesus Christ of 2 Thessalonians 1, of 1 Peter, of Revelation. And since all of these agree perfectly in positing that revelation at the destruction of Jerusalem, in Jesus' coming at that time, that means the Olivet Discourse is not and cannot be divided into two subjects. There was only one revelation of the Son of Man in view in all of these texts. And it happened in AD 70. All right, out of time for this morning. Don't forget, get yourself a copy of my brand new book, Watching for the Parousia, Were Jesus' Apostles Confused? Go to my website, donkpreston.com, BibleProphecy.com. Order the book. Save yourself about $6. All right? I'll see you on the flip side.